knocked on the door, and Leslie opened the door, and he says, "Leslie, where's Rick?" "Well, Vern, he quit." I said, "Is he here?" "Yeah, he's in the house here. Tell him to come out."
Well, it's true though, like that Ken literally like kept Flair in wrestling because he wanted to quit, right? And like it was
No,
Vern
Vern
that
did.
Vern
Oh,
did. Okay, because
oh yeah.
I thought Vern was like talking to Ken, like Ken, you got to keep him around or something like
Well,
that.
he sent him out a couple times, but one day, I mean, Rick didn't show up for camp.
Yeah, yeah,
And Vern said, "Where's Flair?" And Ken said like, he's quit. Vern said, and he knew where we lived. He drove
uh-huh.
over there and knocked on the door, and Leslie opened the door, and he says, "Leslie, where's Rick?" "Well, Vern, he quit." I said, "Is he here?" "Yeah, he's in the house here. Tell him to come out." So he came out, and he's got him in the yard talking to him, and Vern's, you can't quit. You know,
Yeah,
you got to suck it up here, kid. Well, this, I'm going to quit. Vern open hand him, knocked him right on his ass, and said, "Get up, get in my car. You're going to the camp."
wow,
Twice that happened.
twice.
Twice. Rick
So
quit twice.
think about it then, like 60 or 50 years later, you're doing the same. Well, you didn't slap Tiffany, obviously, but you're doing the
No,
same.
no, I just told her to get out.
You
I
told her to
fired
get
her.
out,
I said,
actually.
"I'm
Yeah,
done."
yeah,
You know, I only trained her because a good friend of mine was a friend of her family's and asked me if I would train her. And I said,
yeah,
"Oh God, I really don't want to train anybody." And I did it as a favor.
yeah.
And then there was two other kids there, JDX and this uh, what is he, Santana, Rampage Santana. And they, so I had to have somebody to help, because couldn't go in there with my bad back and do
Sure.
all the stuff. So I worked them hard, ran it the same way we did our camp. And, like I said, 3 times she quit
See,
or
yeah,
got fired, I should say.
yeah.
One day she came in. I said, "You're a half hour late." "Well, I'm really tired. I had to do this and this." I said, "Well, get your butt in here.
Yeah.
I'm tired." And she laid on the mat with like this. "I'll just watch." And I said, "Well, you're not going to watch from there. And you're not going to watch from this building. You're going to get in your car and go home and you're done." I said, "Get your butt out of here."
Yeah.
I said, "What do you think this wrestling is?" I
Yeah.
said, "You wrestle in Denver one night, the next night you're Chicago, and you get hurt in Denver. You get in the ring the next day and you wrestle.
You're gonna be tired.
So you better learn it now or forget it."
Yeah.
So threw her out. She came back about 15 minutes later, finished off the last 2.5 hours with us. Then the next time she came in again, and I forget what she was pissing and moaning about then. And she wasn't doing things. She wasn't doing. I said, "Tiffany, you've done this."
Yeah.
Jessica's her name. I said, "You've done this before. What's wrong?" "Well, I'm really tired." I said, "You gave me that crap before, and I'll send you home again." And she said, "But Greg," I said, "But what?" I said, "Get out, go. You're done." The third time, she really got on me. And I said, "I'm done. That's it. Out of here." And then Ken Anderson came over. He was watching. He said, "What happened?" I said, "Well, that's the third time." I said, "I'm done with this gal. I'm doing this
Right.
as a favor for her parents wanted her to be a wrestler, and a good friend of mine, those friends of theirs. It's the only reason I'm doing it." So Ken must have caught her out in the car, and 10 minutes later, she came back in, apologized to everybody. And then from that time on, no problems.
Who's sailing?
3 times.
Who's sailing? Third time's a charm.
Third time. Flair was 2 times.
The Flair was 2 times.
But when you see somebody with talent, and the problem with her, she was a gymnast and she won everything. She was really good.
Sure, yeah.
Then they come in with the attitude that they're better than everybody else.
Yeah.
And you should, because I was really good at what I did, I need a little time off here. I'm tired.
Yeah, yeah.
They burned me. It
That
burned me.
doesn't it's not how that works.
Yeah.
It's not how it works,
So
right?
as soon as she'd come back in, we'd start with the slams and the backdrops and everything else.
We're
Do it
getting to it.
again. Do it again.
Hell yeah.
Protect yourself. Boom. Oh, ow. Get up. Come on. You're in a match. What are you going to do? Lay there and get beat?
Well, it's
So,
paying off in dividends for her now, right?
yeah.
No.
But,
Um,
when you go back to Vern, he trained over 145 wrestlers,
yeah.
and maybe 2% didn't make it to main event.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
impressive.
yeah. And, even Dick the Bruiser,
Hmm.
Vern and him played football. They were both in pro football, and they both left.
Yeah.
Bruiser played, I think, a year or two with Green Bay. Then he wanted to wrestle, and Vern trained him. So,
Wow.
I mean, it goes back to that time.
Yeah. Yeah.